Hey y'all, I'm so glad you're here today because today is National English Toffee Day and I love toffee so much. I think it should probably have its own week, month, or maybe even year, not just a day. And so I'm going to show you how you can make it yourself in less than 10 minutes in just 3 ingredients. So let's get to the kitchen.
All right, so like I promised, this recipe has just 3 ingredients, 2 of which I'm betting you already have on hand at home because those 2 ingredients are my favorite 2 ingredients. I always have them on hand, and that's butter and sugar. And then for our 3rd ingredient, we're gonna be using a little bit of chocolate chips. Now, if you like your toffee without chocolate on it, you could leave this out and it would be only 2 ingredients. So an even easier recipe. Again, this just couldn't be faster, cheaper, or easier. We're gonna start with a stick of butter. I think I just described myself in my 20s. Fast, cheap, and easy. Anyway, we've got a stick of butter in here, and some of your toffee recipes, they're going to call for a little bit of salt, but I'm going to use salted butter just to make this even easier. And another thing that's going to make it easy is I'm using my Pampered Chef batter bowl, the small one. It has the measurements on the side, it has the lid that we need, and it also has a handle for pouring that's going to make this really, really easy. So if you have a batter bowl, use it. If you don't have one, just make sure to use a glass bowl and then like some oven mitts or something to protect your hands, because after we microwave this a couple of times, it's going to be really hot. And if you're in the market for a batter bowl, just check the description because my website's there along with the full recipe. So I'm going to pop this in the microwave about 30 seconds to a minute. All right, now while that is in the microwave, I'll just tell you a couple other things you're gonna need. So you're gonna need your sugar, like I said. You're also gonna need a couple of tablespoons of water, something to stir with, and then something to pour it out on. So preferably like a baking sheet that you've greased, or I just put some parchment paper on top of mine. All right, but you're gonna wanna stay tuned till the very end of the video because I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. We're gonna make this like extra special, super addictive, and it's gonna bring out your hedonistic side, so you don't wanna miss that. All right, so our butter is melted. At this point, we just wanna go ahead and take off the lid. All right, we're gonna stir in 2 tablespoons of water and 1 cup of sugar. All right, we're just gonna stir this together. And you want to do this really gently and try really not to scrape the sides. All right, so once you get that pretty well incorporated, we're going to replace the lid. Oh, going the wrong direction. We're going to put this back in the microwave. We're going to microwave it for 2 more minutes. Okay, so at this point, 2 minutes have passed. And it should have started to boil just a little bit. Now all I want to do is go ahead and take the lid off. We're going to stir this very gently just to make sure our sugar crystals have dissolved. You don't want to scrape the sides of it. Now I'm going to leave the lid off and we'll return it to the microwave for 5 minutes or until it's golden brown. Okay, my toffee is done. It is a beautiful amber color. As you can see, it's kind of boiling. At this point, all I need to do is go ahead and pour it onto a sheet, like I said, with some parchment paper. And I'm just going to do a little bit, because like I said, I got a trick up my sleeve. I'm going to show you something special. Now, when you pour it out, you just want it to be about 1/4 inch thick. All right? And then I'll show you what else to do with this in a second. But first, my special trick here is I got to thinking, why not try to use my Pampered Chef granola bar maker, and we can make like some homemade like s'more bars or Heath bars. So I am just pouring this into the cavities here. I tell you, this handle on here makes it really easy. Then once we get all these filled, we're going to wait for this to harden up. And then we're going to pour some chocolate over them. And then I got another little trick that's going to make them like even more addictive. Oh, these look so good. If this wasn't so hot, I could eat this right out of the bowl. Oh, I just love toffee. All right, we won't worry about that tiny bit in there. That looks good. All right, so while our toffee here is still warm, we're going to go ahead and sprinkle some chocolate chips on top. And because that toffee's still warm, we'll let it sit for just about a minute or so, and then it should be warm enough that we can smooth this around. starting to melt already. Make sure we have enough on here. You can never have too much chocolate, right? Never too much chocolate, butter, or sugar. Excuse me, or garlic in savory cases. All right, I'm just going to set those aside. So once this starts melting, it's getting there. You just take your spatula and smooth it out. Now, one other thing you could add to this if you wanted is nuts. A lot of times you see almonds on here. I am a big fan of pecans or pecans, as Paula Deen says. So you can use pecans. You could do pistachios, walnuts. You could do whatever your little heart desires. You could even top this with coconut. You know, it would be really good. Sprinkles. Turn it into a party. Put sprinkles on anything and it turns into a party, right? My son Kyle loved sprinkles so much when he was growing up. He one time put them on scrambled eggs. We still talk about that. And how when we took him to the buffets, if they had like the little ice cream sundae section, he would fill up a whole bowl of sprinkles. That kid still loves sprinkles as much as his mama does. All right, so that looks really good. So now all I need to do is let these cool, and then this we're going to break into pieces, and this we're going to coat in chocolate. Okay, our toffee is all firmed up. It is ready to bust up into pieces, or what I like to call like the broken or shattered glass look. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull it from the parchment paper, and then, like I said, we're just going to bust it up into pieces. And that's really just the easiest way to do it. And then I've got a tin here that I already had some from earlier that I made. And as you can see, I'd use some of the lighter chocolate, some of the darker chocolate. Some I put pecans on, some I put almonds on. So just make it your own. Put whatever you want on there. Again, if you put sprinkles on it, you're going to turn it into a party. So I'm just adding these to this. And then I promised I had a little something up my sleeve, right? We want to make this extra special, so we turned these into candy bars by using our Pampered Chef granola bar maker. So let's just take a look at these. Take our lid off here. Whoops. I'll slide this underneath. Oh shit. I have a couple I can see are already broken. I wanted to use these for gifts, but you know what that means. You can't give broken things as gifts, right? So you're going to have to eat some of these. Anyway, I'm going to pull out the ones that are not broken. Maybe even the broken pieces too. Oh, that one's missing a corner. Uh-oh. And you know what would be really cute is to make, you know, some, like on your printer, some homemade wrappers for these. You could personalize them with whatever you wanted them to say. Oh my goodness, how many of these are broken? I accidentally bumped this thing up against the side a couple of times. I put it in the freezer to make it go a little faster. And that's what I get for trying to rush the process, right? Oh, goodness. Well, half of them turned out good. 1, 2, 3, 4. And half of them are broken. So half of them we have to eat. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and coat all of them in chocolate. So I have a little thing that melts chocolate for me. If you don't have one of these, you can just always do it, you know, in the microwave or over a double broiler. Just get yourself some almond bark or some chocolate chips. And we're just going to pour this. I like this because it has a little spout on it too. Right over the top. Now, if you think that this is too thick and not thin enough, I'm going to kind of smooth it out here. You can always add a bit of coconut oil. Now, you don't want to use a regular oil whenever you do that because your regular oil is going to stay a liquid. So that would mean like, you know, canola oil, peanut oil, vegetable oil, that type of thing. Where your coconut oil, when it's 70 degrees or above, it actually turns into a solid. So it's not liquid anymore. So it makes it perfect. And the other thing I like about it is it adds a little bit of coconut flavor. So if you're a fan of coconut like I am. Now these little pieces, I'm not going to get picky with because you know where those are going. In my belly. Sooner or later. Hopefully I'll eat the whole thing today. But like I said, we're going to make this super addictive, and I'll show you how in just a second. So last one right here. Another thing, if you don't like the flavor of coconut, you could add a little bit of butter, and that'll solidify also. Look how pretty. And I might just do a little design on these. You know, when you get the chocolates out of the box for Valentine's Day and they have the little... I like to make things pretty, except for the ones that are just going to go in my belly anyway. No one's going to look at those, except my mouth. All right, so I'm going to return this back over here. So again, I think this makes these extra special as opposed to just kind of breaking them up and putting them in the tin. But really what's going to make this super addictive is I read an article the other day where salted caramel is like the most addictive food there is. So normally when you eat a food, your brain finally says, okay, I've had enough of that. But when you get something that's sweet, salty, and fat all in one bite, your brain really doesn't know when to stop because it's getting all of those flavors all in one. And I forgot what scientific term they used. You can Google it if you want, but they did use the word hedonistic, and I consider myself a hedonist anyway. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of salt to these, just a tiny bit. You want to wait till it firms up just a tiny bit so that your salt doesn't completely dissolve into there. And of course, I definitely want a little bit of salt on my pieces. And I'll show you the salt that I'm using for this. It's called Maldon salt. And I could not find this at our grocery store, so I just went online and I ordered it off this Amazon. But what it is actually sea salt flakes. So it's just great for something like this. And it's really good for like if you photograph food as well, because it just looks so much better than like your kosher salt or sea salt or definitely your table salt. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. Tomorrow, we're going to be making a lava cake. We're going to do that with 3 ingredients, and we're going to do that in like 10 minutes as well. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Make sure to like and subscribe. I thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the bell, and I will see you next time. Bye.